Who initially brought up killing your mother?
I did.
Why not just tell?
I did. That tells us everything we need to know. It was Gypsy Rose's idea. Nick was her weapon, right? Nick was her weapon. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Lindsay Unfiltered. And today we will be covering Gypsy Rose testifying on the stand at Nick's trial back in 2015. I went live with a couple of you guys the other day, and a lot of you in the comments said that, hey, we really want to see Gypsy testifying and your input on it. So why not make a video about that part? Because in the live streams, we will be watching the entire trial from the beginning, the motions and all of that jargon, and the end, the sentencing. I decided to make a video to get into the juicy details, what everyone wants to see. Gypsy Rose on the stand. Now, mind you, Gypsy Rose didn't have a trial. She took a plea deal, which means she didn't go to trial. She opted out of a trial. So Nicholas Godejohn is the only one we see in court for this case. We want to look at Gypsy Rose's body language. We're going to look at Gypsy Rose's expressions, how much she was being grilled by the prosecution and defense, and just get our overall opinions on her testifying and witness behavior as a whole. You guys, we have 986 subscribers, and I couldn't be happier. In the last 28 days, we've had over 6,000 hours of watch time. That's a lot of hours you guys spent right here, and I appreciate each and every one of you guys. So if you like content like this, crime cases, controversies, scandals, and documentaries with a twist of humor, hit that subscribe button for me. We'll be doing live streams. We'll be doing a lot of fun stuff, a lot of engaging stuff, a lot of community involvement, and a lot of public opinion. Now, without further ado, let's get into the video. And remember, good things take time. All right, guys, so we're going to start with part 1 of Gypsy Rose taking the stand. Thank Law and Crime for making this available to us. All righty, Aphrodite.
Please be seated. All right, are we ready for your witnesses?
Yes, and their client.
All right, let's get Mr. Godejohn. Let's go on. We call it in the state versus Godejohn matter. Parties are all present. Jury is not present. So I understand that you wish to call Ms. Blanchard as your first witness.
Yes, Judge, we would call Gypsy Blanchard to the witness stand.
All right, and as agreed, you're going to have her seated
Yes, before the jury.
before the jury. And we'll go through, hopefully we'll be able to do it without a recess, but if not, we'll take a recess, but they won't see her walking because she's in restraints.
Okay.
So give Ms. Blanchard in. And her attorney is here. I note that. Get Ms. Blanchard. If you just have her come out here. Ms. Blanchard, just want to see over here. Yeah, be careful on that step.
Is she handcuffed? I could have sworn the judge said that she was in restraints. Is she handcuffed? I don't see any handcuffs. She's not even wearing a jumpsuit. She's like perfectly dressed for court. Was that the state's idea or the defense's? Because I thought when you bring somebody on trial, if they're in jail, they're supposed to be in there. All right, let's continue. I'm not going to start any drama this early. I'm not. Let her wear her turtleneck.
There's water there for you. Isn't there? There's a fresh bottle of water for you if you need it. Okay. All right. It's settled in. Are we ready for the jury?
Yes, Judge.
So much courtroom nonsense. What's up with all the shuffling? What's up with all the courtroom shuffling? The lawyers need to get it together. Stop shuffling nervously. Like, what is going on in this courtroom?
All rise.
Keep your eyes on Nick. Keep your eyes on Nick. Keep your eyes on Nick. Look at Nick. Look at Nick. Nick is like, if looks could, you know what I'm about to say. I don't want to get this video through. If looks could, you know what I'm, laser focus. Laser staring at her. I don't know if this is the first time you've seen her, I'm assuming. But baby girl, like, you.
Please be seated. Mr. Perry, do you have a witness you wish to call?
Gypsy Blanchard, Judge.
Ms. Blanchard, would you raise your right hand? Do you solemnly swear that the testimony you are about to give in the cause now pending before the court will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God? Thank you. Sir?
Please tell us your name.
Gypsy R. Blanchard.
What do you go by?
Gypsy.
Okay. Gypsy, could you speak up just a bit? I'm having a little
Yes.
trouble hearing you.
Pull up to the mic. Pull up to the mic, please. We don't have time for your soft voice right now in this manner. You need to speak up. You're all the way back here. You need to speak up. You need to speak up.
Any better?
That chair won't move. You can hold the microphone if you want to take it out. Just look, it looks straight out.
Gypsy is scared shitless. I can tell you that much. Gypsy is scared. She's scared. I mean, who wouldn't be? She's scared. I don't know if she looked at Nick. We'll see if she does. But, because I haven't seen this, guys. But she's scared. I can give you that much. She's scared. Having to face this.
There you go.
Is that better?
That's much better. How old are you?
27.
Where were you born?
Graceland, Louisiana.
Where were you living in the summer of 2015? In June of 2015?
Springfield, Missouri.
Do you remember the address?
I don't remember now. I'm sorry.
How long had you lived at that address in Springfield?
About 7 years.
And prior to that, where did you live?
Slidell, Louisiana.
And when did you move to Missouri?
In 2005.
And who did you move to Missouri with?
My mother,
And what was her name?
Claudina Blanchard.
Did she go by any other names?
Dee Dee.
So if I say Dee Dee, you'll know who I'm talking about?
Yes, sir.
Do you know a Nicholas Godejohn?
Yes, sir.
And when did you meet Nicholas Godejohn?
In October of 2012.
How did you meet him?
On an online Christian dating website.
Do you remember the name of that site?
ChristianDatingForFree.com.
How old were you when you met Nick?
About 21.
In June of 2015, what did you consider your relationship to Nick to be? What kind of relationship?
We were boyfriend, girlfriend.
And when did you become boyfriend and girlfriend?
In October of 2012.
When did you first meet Nick in person?
March of 2015.
So between October of 2012 and March of 2015, you hadn't actually met Nick in person?
That is correct.
What type of relationship did you have during that period of time?
Online relationship.
And by online, what do you mean?
Strictly communicating through Facebook.
Any other ways other than Facebook?
Instant text messaging, emails.
All by way of computer and cell phones?
Yes, sir.
Did you send videos to each other?
Yes, sir.
It looks like she looked over at him at that point. She looked over. She was like, ooh, like, let me get my shit together. Like, as of now, sounds like she's being pretty truthful. Pretty truthful from what I read in the text messages, from what I heard. Truthful. Loving it. Loving the truth. Her mental clarity seems good. She seems like her lawyer gave her some good on the stand training. This seems good. This seems good. It's clear. It's concise. It's easy to follow. The lawyer's giving a nice line of questioning. Nice. It's not all over the place like other trials going on in America right now. I'm not going to state any specifics.
Prior to March of 15, when you indicated you met Mr. Godejohn for the first time in person, had your mother met him?
No, sir.
Did she know he existed?
No, sir.
Why is it she didn't know?
Because it was a secret relationship and my mother would never allow me to have a boyfriend.
Why not?
Because she controlled every aspect of my life.
Did you and Nick ever talk about the fact that you were not allowed to date?
Yes.
How many times do you think?
I don't remember.
Did you and your mother ever have any discussions about whether you were ever going to be able to date?
Yes, sir.
Did you and Nick talk about that?
We may have.
What did your mother say about your ability to date going forward?
She said that it...
Did you and Nick talk about that?
We may have.
What did your mother say about your ability to date going forward?
She said that it would never happen, that she would never allow it.
What about marriage? Did you and Nick ever talk about marriage?
Yes.
Did you and your mother ever discuss whether or not you'd be able to get married someday?
Yes.
What did she tell you?
She said that she wouldn't allow it.
In June of 2015, were you in a wheelchair?
Yes.
Did Nick know you were in a wheelchair?
Yes.
Why were you in a wheelchair in June of 2015?
Because my mother forced me to be in one.
Do you know why you were forced to be in a wheelchair?
No, sir. She just forced me to be in one.
And how long had you been in a wheelchair as of June of 2015?
Since probably I was about 8 years old.
Was there a time between when you first were put in a wheelchair and June of 2015 that you figured out that you really didn't need to be in a wheelchair?
Her body language is weird here. Now, I just complimented her, right? I just complimented her. I was just getting very happy with her behavior on the stand. And now that we're talking about the wheelchair business, she starts breathing heavy. Her eyes start shifting. I'm not a body language expert. I'm just a person with a microphone that can talk, okay? Some of the people in my prior video said, you're not a detective. How dare you show us a crime scene video, say that you see a bucket here. I mean, I am a person with an opinion and a microphone, so I can speak on that. So if I go back here and we start seeing when they're talking about the wheelchair, and Gypsy says that she doesn't know why her mother's putting her in a wheelchair. You see her eyes shift a little bit. You see her breath get deeper. You see her look to the right. Tell me if it's just me seeing that.
Was there a time between when you first were put in a wheelchair?
What was that? What was that there? Let's look again.
And how long had you been in a wheelchair as of June of 2015?
Since probably I was about 8 years old.
Right here.
Was there a time between when you first were put in a wheelchair and June of 2015 that you figured out that you really didn't need to be in a wheelchair?
Yes.
When was that?
I always knew that I didn't need the wheelchair
And how did you know that?
because I could walk.
Did you and your mother obtain any kind of advantage by you being in a wheelchair?
Yes, sir.
What kind of advantage did you obtain?
Financial, attention, charity.
Financially mean money.
Yes, sir.
Did you obtain money as a result of you being in a wheelchair?
Yes, sir.
How did that work out? How did that happen?
Judge, I'm going to object to the relevance of that. There's been no connection that the defendant knew any of this.
Well, I'm assuming, Ms. Perry, you're going to tie this up.
Well, right now. Did you and Nick ever talk about the fact that you didn't need to be in a wheelchair?
Yes.
Did you ever talk to him about why you were required to be in a wheelchair?
Yes.
I'll overrule the objection.
Could you tell the jury why it is that you obtained money as a result of being in a wheelchair?
Because people felt sorry for me.
And they would do what?
And Judge, I'm just going to object to general relevance at this point.
I'll allow it for the time being. You may answer, ma'am.
What was the question again? I'm sorry.
Asked you why you obtained an advantage for being in a wheelchair. You said people gave you money. And I think my next question was, why did they give you money?
Because they felt sorry for me. They believed the lie. They believed the fraud.
When did you tell Nick about the wheelchair? That you being in a wheelchair?
I think maybe a month or so after we met.
When did you tell Nick that you didn't need to be in a wheelchair?
A year into our relationship.
So if your relationship began in October of 2012, it would have been sometime in 2013 that you first told him that you really didn't need to be in a wheelchair.
That is correct.
Were you ill during this period of time?
No, sir.
Did you ever tell Nick that you were ill or that you had illnesses?
I told him that I had illnesses. Yes, sir.
Did you ever tell him that you really weren't ill?
Yes, sir.
When did you tell him you really weren't ill?
The same time that I told him that I didn't need to be in the wheelchair.
What illnesses did you believe you had?
Cancer, muscular dystrophy. I needed glasses. I needed hearing aids. Seizure disorder. And I can't remember what else.
And when did you figure out that you weren't actually sick?
I started to piece things together when I was about 19 years old. Then I didn't understand the full extent of how healthy I was until after I got arrested.
So even at the time, even as of June of 2015, you still believed you had some of the illnesses?
Yes, sir.
Did you ever run away?
Yes, sir.
When did you, and by run away I mean from your mother,
Yes, sir.
when did you run away?
I'm not buying all that. That little chunk about her not knowing that she had illnesses or certain illnesses, I'm not buying that. I'm not buying that. Like, she says that she knew that she could walk. That's all she knew. But other things she thought she had. There's no way. I just don't buy it, because I feel like something people always say is, I know my body, right? I know my body. So when you're feeling sick, when you're feeling ill, and it's something that you haven't felt before or something new, You know to go check it out at the doctor. You know to tell somebody in your family about it, like a new symptom, a new mark, a new rash. You know, because you can say, I know my body. Like, I might be sick. I might have the flu because I know my body. My body usually doesn't feel like this. The fact that she's saying she has no idea what was wrong with her, I mean, I guess you could say that medically, scientifically, via test, you might not know what's wrong with you. But as far as for how sick you were feeling, I feel like she could have known a little bit more than what she was letting on to. If you had problems with your vision, I feel like you would have known that. If you had problems with your hearing, I feel like you would have known that. If you had problems with your muscles, I feel like you would have known that. If you were sick in other ways, like your mom was saying, you had the intellect of a 5-year-old, a 7-year-old, you would have known that. So I feel like some of these illnesses were so balls to the wall that you knew that you wouldn't be on the spectrum. You knew that you wouldn't be legally blind. You knew that you wouldn't be legally deaf. You knew that you weren't ill to these certain extents. So for you to say, oh, I only found out some of this stuff when I got to prison, it might have been certain tests you took to say, hey, I don't have cancer, or hey, I don't have this disease or that disease. But I feel like to a certain extent, you know your body. And that's not going to say her mom could have been giving her drugs. Her mom could have been she could have felt nauseous. She could have felt weak. She could have felt certain ways. But I do feel to a certain extent, you know your body. And if she's able to clown around with Nick and do this and do that and do this, and I feel like to a certain extent she knew she could walk, and she knew that a lot of other things might have not been true as well. I feel like there's just a missing patch when it comes to the medical records.
In the spring of 2011.
Did you tell Nick about that?
Yes, sir.
When did you tell Nick about that?
I don't remember the exact time.
Was it before your mother's murder?
Yes.
Did you ever consider running away after that? After you ran away in 2011?
Yes, but I knew that it would end badly.
What happened when you ran away? Tell us about running away in 2011.
It was in the middle of the night, and I packed a small bag of stuff, and my mother was asleep, so I left the house, and I met up with one of my friends.
And where did you go?
To first at Mercy Hospital in Springfield, and then to his house.
And at some point, did your mom figure out where you were?
Yes, sir.
And when was that?
4 hours later,
What happened when your mother figured out where you were?
she took me back home. She smashed my computer and my cell phone. She chained me to a bed for 2 weeks.
Did you ever tell Nick about all that?
Yes.
That's the only time you ran away?
Yes.
Did you receive any other physical abuse as a result of running away other than what you already told the jury?
Yes.
What other abuse?
Hitting, punching, starvation.
Did you tell Nick everything that had happened between you and your mother during the course of your relationship with him?
Most, but not all.
All the stuff we've talked about is stuff you actually did tell him,
Yes.
and stuff he knew as of June of 2015.
Yes.
And when did you tell him these things? All at once or over a period of time?
Over a period of time.
Beginning at what point in the relationship?
He knew since day one that my mother never allowed me to date. But I don't remember exactly when I told him every single little detail that was going on in my home life.
But you did tell him everything you did tell him by the time of June of 2015?
Yes, sir.
I assume since you believed you to be sick, you met regularly with doctors.
Yes, sir.
Did you also meet with social workers? Or do you remember that?
No, sir, I don't remember.
Why didn't you tell your doctors that you didn't really think you needed to be in a wheelchair?
Judge, I'll object to the relevance of that.
Good question. No, don't object. Don't object. Don't object. Don't object. Why would you object to that? Why would you object to that? He's asking a question. Let him ask a question. That's a very valid question. Why wouldn't you speak up to your doctors? Why would you speak up to your doctors? That's a very valid question. The world wants to know that. Because it makes it seem like she's in on knowing that her and her mom have this wheelchair, I'm sick thing going on. If she's not reaching out to the doctors. Or she could be so, it's two sides to the same coin. Or she could be brainwashed by her mother. You know, we have things like cults that go on and people are brainwashed by their own parents. If your mom has you so strongly believing that you can't walk, or when we get in this doctor's office, you better not say anything, then hey, it may be that way. But it's a relevant question, and I'm going to tell you why it's relevant. They're over there objecting. As soon as the attorney said something about Gypsy Rose, or trying to make Gypsy Rose's character seem mad, it's relevant because it makes it seem like Gypsy Rose isn't the victim that she's making herself out to be. That's why he's asking that question. Because it's basically taking some of the heat off Nick and making it seem like Gypsy Rose isn't the victim she's making herself out to be. She was playing along with her mother. So it is relevant. Why are you objecting? Stop objecting. Stop being weird.
It's outside the scope of the knowledge that the defendant would have.
Mr. Perry?
Judge, I think it is relevant. It goes to, it really goes to why this whole thing happened. The fact that, I'm glad to explain it, but I really don't know we should explain it on the record.
Yeah. Can we go back into the...
I'm going to allow it. for the
Yeah,
time
he is going to
being.
allow it.
Let's not get too far afield here, Mr. Perry. Do you need the question repeated, please?
Yes, please.
If you'd repeat it, Mr.
I would
Perry.
be glad to. Why did you not tell doctors that you knew you could walk or you didn't believe yourself to be ill during the time that you were doing this?
I didn't think that anyone would believe me. I thought they would eventually tell my mom, and that would make my home life even worse for me. I feared her more than I feared anyone else.
Where's your father during this time?
Louisiana.
Did you ever talk to your father?
Lie.
While you were in Missouri?
Lie.
It's a complicated answer.
Lie.
Did you ever speak to him on the phone?
I did, but my mother was always present.
Did you ever tell him what was going on?
No, sir.
Now, earlier you told us you met Nick for the first time in person in March of 2015. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
And where did you meet him in person?
A Springfield movie theater.
What movie?
Cinderella.
How is it you were able to meet with Nick in March of 2015?
I paid for his transportation, his lodging, to get there.
Why'd you pay for it?
I didn't think he'd have enough money.
And you say you met him at the Cinderella movie. And was your mother present?
Yes.
Did you and Nick talk that night?
Yes.
How did that work out?
It didn't go well at all. My mother hated him from the moment they met.
Did you guys watch this movie together?
Yes.
Did your relationship change in any way that day?
Yes.
How?
We got to see each other in person for the first time.
Did it become physical that night?
Yes.
And you know what I mean by physical, don't you?
Yes.
What do I mean?
We had sexual relations
And where?
in the bathroom stall of the men's bathroom.
What was the point of you and Nick?
Okay, attorney, why was that relevant? Why was that relevant? Okay, now that's when you should have objected. That's when you should have objected, because you didn't have to make her say that again. We've gone through that. Like, we've gone through it. We've heard it on the interrogation. It's not relevant to the jury. I guess you can let the jury hear that, just to see how sexually deviant their relationship is. But I feel like making her say that on the stand was just like a personal dig at her. Like, you raunchy person, you just took him to the bathroom and had your way with him. So trying to degrade her character as a woman in a way, right? That's why she's like bobbing her head like, I know what you want me to say, right? That's what I'm getting from Gypsy here. Now she's mad. She's kind of pissed now, I feel. This is all alleged. My opinion, guys. My opinion.
Meeting up during the Cinderella movie. Were you guys trying to do something?
Yes,
What?
I was trying to introduce him to my mom so my mother would allow me to date.
And you said that didn't go well.
No, sir.
Now, where did Nick live?
In Wisconsin with his mother.
Did you and Nick ever talk about any disabilities he may have?
Yes.
What disabilities did you understand him to have?
Asperger's syndrome.
Did you know what that was?
No, sir.
Now, you indicated that you paid for this trip to Missouri by Nick in 2015. What all did you pay for?
I paid for the Greyhound bus ticket. I paid for the hotel and for eating money.
And how did you pay for this? How did you get the money to Nick?
I stole the money from my mother and I sent it to him via the mail.
Gypsy, if you wouldn't mind speaking up just a bit.
Yes,
Get more soft.
Sorry.
I think you said you put it in the mail?
Yes, sir.
In what form was the money?
Cash.
Do you know how much you sent him that time?
I don't know the exact amount. Probably about $800.
And how would you get the money how would you steal the money from your mother?
She kept it in a money pouch.
What were your feelings for Nick in the spring of 2015?
I loved him.
Was there a point in this relationship that you considered yourself, that is you and Nick, to be more than just boyfriend and girlfriend?
Yes.
When was that?
We had plans to marry.
Any other plans for your future at that point?
We planned to have kids. Yes.
Did you do anything to prepare for having children with Nick?
Yes.
What did you do?
I stole baby clothes and things for a child.
And how would you steal baby clothes?
I was in the wheelchair, so I would steal them from Walmart.
And where would your mother be when you did this?
She would have been in a different aisle or a different section of the store.
And was she aware of any of this?
No, sir.
At some point, you decided to kill your mother, is that correct?
Yes.
When was that?
Thoughts of it started a year prior to the murder actually happening.
Whose idea was it to kill your mother?
Mine.
Why did you want to kill your mother?
Because I wanted to be free of her hold on me.
Did you and Nick ever talk about this?
Yes,
Who initially brought up killing your mother?
I did.
Why not just tell?
I did. That tells us everything we need to know. It was Gypsy Rose's idea. Nick was her weapon, right? Nick was her weapon. Yes, he's in control of his own actions. Yes, he could have said no. But I have a hard time believing that this would have occurred if Gypsy Rose wouldn't have suggested it. So that's the biggest issue for me in this case. It's like the saying they say, are guns bad or are the people with the guns bad? Is Nick bad or is Gypsy bad for utilizing him as her weapon? I can't give Nick a pass. Of course not. Because what he did, and in the manner he did it, was absolutely heinous, disgusting, and repulsive. I can't. No way. But this woman on the screen is the reason that was all set into motion. Keep that. Hold on to that, right?
Tell somebody rather than kill your mother. Why was that not an option?
I truly didn't believe that nobody would believe me if I told anyone. My mother had legal documents in place saying that I was incompetent, and I thought that meant that if I went to anyone, the police, or told anyone, she would just have them convinced that I was making everything up.
So your solution to what you just said, Gypsy, no one's going to believe you, is to unalive her. Therefore, the police find you and they find out everything about the both of you in the end anyway. That makes no sense to me. That makes no sense to me. Somebody was going to believe you because they knew about your mother's past. They knew about your mother's depression. They knew about your mother's ability to grift, as some people have been calling it. So I don't fully believe that part.
At some point after you initially considered killing your mother, did you ever change your mind?
Yes.
Do you know when that was?
About 2 weeks before it happened.
Why did you change your mind and decide not to kill her?
I started having doubts, second thoughts.
Did you ever then change your mind back to the initial decision to kill her?
Yes.
Why did you change your mind back to killing her?
My mother and I got into an argument 2 days prior to the murder occurring. And Nick asked me, are we still doing this? Am I still, coming there to do this? Yes or no? And I said yes.
I don't remember that happening, Gypsy. I don't remember that happening from the text messages I read. Now, I could be wrong, but I'm 100,000% in. You got into a fight with your mom and she made you sleep in a bush. That's what you said. That's what you said when y'all got into that fight 2 days before. You were pissed off. It was in motion before then.
Who talked you into killing your mother?
I did. I talked him into it.
During the time you and Nick were together, did you ever engage in fantasies or role-playing or anything like that?
Yes.
Did you have names?
Yes.
Tell us about the names you utilized.
Ruby, Candy, Kitty, Bella, Demona.
Why did you have different alter egos?
I made them up because he told me that he had various alter egos. And so I created mine to fit the ones with his.
And who came up with your names?
I did.
And do they each represent a different type of person?
Yes.
Was this real?
It was fantasy.
Who is Demona?
She's a character that I came up with.
And what was the character?
She's half werewolf and half human.
Who is Kitty?
She's like a childlike girl.
Ruby?
She's my evil side.
What about Candy?
She's more of the slutty side of me.
Did you also have wigs?
Yes,
And why did you have wigs?
to change the different hair colors of the characters, and because I didn't have any hair at the time.
And why did you not have hair?
My mother would shave off my hair and tell people I had cancer.
Was any of this stuff non-consensual on your part? The personalities?
No,
Now, you mentioned the idea to kill your mother came out about a year before it happened.
yes, sir.
And what was going on in your home life that made you reach the point where you did that or made that decision?
I was growing increasingly desperate to get out of my home life.
Did you tell Nick that?
Yes,
And what was your mom doing that caused you to be more desperate?
things were getting physically and more physically abusive. The hitting was more. The starving was more.
Now, you mentioned you were in a wheelchair. Were you required to act any certain way when you were in a wheelchair?
Yes, sir.
How was that?
She would have me stay very quiet and pretend like I couldn't walk.
Mr. Perry, can we pause for a second?
Yeah.
Can I sit for a second? Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to take a little break. I don't know if you can smell. We'll just check out to see what it is. I want to remind you of what you were told at the first recess of the court. Until you retire to consider your verdict, you must not discuss this case among yourselves or with others, or permit anyone to discuss it in your hearing. You should not form or express any opinion about the case until it is finally given to you to decide. Excuse me. Do not do any research or investigation on your own about any matter regarding this case or anyone involved with the trial. Do not communicate with others about the case by any means. Do not read, view, or listen to any newspaper, radio, electronic communication from the internet or television report of the trial. So if you'd all go back to the jury room, please. We'll have this checked out. All right. You just sit there. That's okay. You can sit. It's making my eyes water.
I noticed it. 2 or 3 questions.
I started smelling it.
And when I came back, it was
Ms.
much
Blanchard,
stronger.
I'm going to have you go with my bailiff over to the other room. Do you wish to speak with your attorney? Ms. Blanchard, do you wish to speak with your attorney? Okay, if you do, let me know. And my bailiff knows. So we take her over to our alternate room. Okay? And we'll explore. Take about 10 minutes. We'll see what happens. It smells like electric.
Do you ever live in that sound again?
I heard that sound
Did you hear
twice.
that sound? I did too.
Oh, that's this one. That's his chair.
Oh.
Up and down.
Yeah, they were doing work here.
I checked it.
It's not coming from the TV.
We just went through the first part of Gypsy Rose going onto the stand to testify in Nick's trial. And I would say probably about 80% of what she was saying is true. She kind of glazed over the wheelchair. She kind of glazed over, she glazed over her use of the wheelchair. She glazed over her relationship with her mother. I feel like some of those things were glazed over. She was kind of shifty, but I'm not a body language expert. I can't really speak to that, but I do feel like she knew, in my opinion, that she wasn't as sick as her mother was telling other people. When she was an adult, I felt like she knew she wasn't that sick, in my opinion. Like I said, you know your body. And for the most part, I feel like she did a good job on the stand, keeping her composure. And Nick, was locked in on her. The attorney did a good job asking really good questions for Gypsy to follow, to set the scene for who Gypsy Rose is, why her relationship to Nick is relevant, and making sure that he asks those questions. You asked Nick to do this, right? You are the reason Nick did this, right? Kind of trying to take some of the heat off of Nick, making it seem like Gypsy is really the master manipulator behind this thing, trying to get Nick less time and things of that nature. Honestly, Nick would have probably did better off taking a plea deal. He would have had a chance to get out of jail. Now that he didn't take the plea deal, there's no possibility for parole. And again, that may be a good thing. I don't know. We really don't know. This case is tough. It's a tough case when you're looking at all of these variables. We're looking at all of these things. And it's a sad case, it's a tough case, but when you look at her in court, you do see a lot of vulnerabilities there. She sees Nick looking at her in the corner of her eye. She's reliving what happened. And I feel like in that moment, she doesn't want to be there. She didn't really think it through at 24 years of age. And I don't know what the hell either one of them was thinking, honestly. There's more to her line of questioning that I will be covering. I think we'll get it out in about 3 parts. This is the first part of it. You guys said you wanted to see this specifically, so I decided to put a video up about it. We will be watching the whole trial on my live stream, and I'll let you guys know in the community tab when that's coming out. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Here's to 1,000 subscribers on the way. I appreciate you guys. Thank you so much. Make sure to subscribe, like, and comment. This has been Lindsay Unfiltered. Bye now.